It is 7:46, 14 minutes away from 8 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. This is the Voice of Freedom. This morning we're talking with Pastor John Miller with Community Builders. He pastors Church on the Rock. We invited Derek McGarry, Councilman Derek McGarry of Progress, Texarkana, and he refused to show up on the program. So we got Pastor Miller here talking about the alcohol issue because today is the last day of early voting. And so far, from what I'm hearing, early voting is way up. We can actually set a record for city elections in the city of Texarkana, Texas, which is, I think, wonderful. Anytime you get people involved in the process, I like that. So, Pastor Miller, thank you, sir, for showing up. Now, we were talking about the fact that you've been called a hypocrite, so has Pastor Isaac Petrie and others that are associated with Community Builders. Councilman Gary had a press conference on the steps of the post office a while back, and he was saying you guys are hypocritical for taking money from the Arkansas side establishments that sell beer and wine and other liquor. What do you say to that?
Here's what I'd like to tell him. Is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can do? And here's what happens in debates when people don't have an argument, they attack the other side. This is the issue to us. See, first of all, Community Builders is not a church group. If you saw a press conference yesterday, you would saw typical Community Builders. There were restaurant owners, there were construction company owners, there were apartment complex owners, there were school students that were there, college students were there, pastors were there, city councilmen were there, a very diverse group of people that care about protecting our community. So this is not a religious group, number one. We're a specific political action committee with the intent to try to stop alcohol sales on the Texas side. And we'll take donations from any group as long as it's legal and there's no strings attached to it. Now, here's the deal. Everybody at the forefront of this alcohol issue is into making money. You think about this. The Arkansas retailers that donate money, whether they're from a liquor store, a hamburger shop, or wherever they're from, because it's very diverse, they want to keep money on the Arkansas side. They want to keep the traffic. They want to make money. That's what retailers do. Texas side retailers want to make money. That's why Councilman McGarry's group raised over $113,000.
Which most of it was from out of town and even out of state, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I don't know. I can show you the report. Yeah. I've got that. But a large portion of it was from. Then certainly they're saying the city of Texarkana wants to make money. The consultant they hired, certainly he wants to make money. Mm-hmm. It's his full-time job. The only people that don't want to make money are the volunteers of Community Builders. What we want to do is to protect the citizens of our community from alcohol. And this is what's missing on their side. They're not arguing issues that are blatant and right before us all around statistically. For example, here's why we think alcohol is a bad idea on the Texas side. We think it's a bad idea, number one, because our kids are going to pay a price because of underage drinking and school dropout. Mothers Against Drunk Driving says 1 in 3 8th graders drink alcohol. Mm. So I would say, 1 in 5 kids who drink or do drugs drop out of school. So that's a huge issue. Families are going to pay a big price. Chief Harrison, Arkansas side, one weekend, 38 domestic violence calls. He estimated 35 involved alcohol. So is that going to get better or worse when 30 million cans of beer come over to the Texas side? Drunk drivers could injure or kill any of us. Mothers Against Drunk Driving says someone dies from a drunk driving accident every 50 minutes. Mm. And every minute somebody's injured from it. Neighborhoods will deteriorate. Chief Harrison reminded us that alcoholics and vagrants will be there. There'll be stealing. A drop in property values is going to happen. The litter problem. And here's another thing for us. The next step's going to be even worse, Jeff. Today, they want to bring beer and wine in retail stores. Tomorrow, it's going to be liquor stores and nightclubs. So those are the big reasons for us, because here's the deal. We care about people. And in a non-political note, but just as a pastoral note, because I am a pastor. Mm-hmm. And what I do, this is not just a job, it's a calling to shepherd people, to care for people, to help people stay on the narrow path of life and get to heaven and not have to face God on Judgment Day. Well, half our congregation lives on the Arkansas side and half on the Texas side. And when I was thinking about our city councilman's role, they are city fathers. And city fathers are supposed to protect the people that are under their care. And so they should be protecting the most vulnerable, the children. Now, I'm sure, I don't know Councilman or Mayor Mayo and all the different councilmen that are there. I'm sure a lot of them have kids. I'm sure they're great parents. And they may protect their children from the ravages of alcohol, but how about all the latchkey kids? I mean, if mom and dad go grocery shopping, they get milk, they get bread, they get eggs, and they get beer, and it's all in the family refrigerator, and those kids are coming home by themselves. They're going to drink, Jeff. And those kids, listen, it needs to be protected as much as we can. These poor women and children that are abused from domestic violence, they need to be protected. And my gosh, going to funerals where a drunk driver has killed someone or maimed someone's life. So I think, just as on a personal note, I would hope my city fathers would protect me and protect the vulnerable people from things that are going to happen. Because listen, I can live with a hole in my road, in my street. I mean, I don't want it, but I can live with it. But I can't live with a lost family member, and I can't live from a kid that drops out of school. Who's going to take care of that kid? I mean, that's a problem. We're going to have to live with the rest of our lives.
Sure. What do you say to people who say, well, all you're trying to do is limit my freedom. I want the freedom to buy beer and wine at my local store, Easy Mart in particular. What do you say to those people who say that you're trying to infringe upon my freedom?
Well, we don't have unlimited freedom. God designed civil government, and civil government puts boundaries around behavior. Just like in the Garden of Eden, God put a boundary around this certain tree that they weren't supposed to eat. And there's certain forms of behavior that from a biblical moral basis, and even in a secular society, a collective basis, there is a sense of there are some boundaries. For example, Jeff, you can't walk naked down the streets of Texarkana, Texas, just because you want to, but that freedom, you can't sell marijuana or heroin in your grocery store because, those are expressions of behavior that are destructive. So we don't have unlimited personal freedom. Yeah. And here's the deal. If you want to buy alcohol, 7 minutes from anywhere in this city, you can go and buy some. So a little inconvenience to protect families, I think, is not too much to ask.
Good morning. Thanks for calling the Voice of Freedom.
I wanted to make a comment. They talked about all this money that alcohol sales will bring to Texarkana, Texas. That was kind of the thing with this lottery. It was supposed to put all this money into the school systems, and last I heard, the Texas school systems are hurting pretty bad for money.
Yeah, what happened to that money, huh?
That's exactly, I just wanted to bring that point up and put my 2 cents worth in.
Appreciate it. Thanks for calling this morning. Thank you, sir. And that's another issue here. To me, when you give government more money and they have not been faithful with the money they've been given, Jesus taught that principle. If you've been faithful with little, you'll be faithful with much. And my opinion, government has not been faithful with the money we've given them.
Well, I'm not as involved and articulate in our local city government how we're spending money as I should be, and I will be more in the future. But I do want to thank our city councilmen and mayors, and all the people that are trying to help our city be a better place. I mean, they do need money. And I totally understand that. They do need money, and I want to personally applaud them and say I appreciate their efforts to raise money and do things, but let's not be short-sighted. This is not something that we need to be doing. I mean, people want a city that's on the safer side rather than the more dangerous side.
Speaking of that, Mayor Mayo in his TV ad says that this will not impact crime.
I wish I could have a conversation with him on that. Well, at least perhaps he could look at this. There was a 2008 Pew Center study on the states that involved alcohol-involved crimes, and it said 40% of state prisoners convicted of violent crimes were under the influence of alcohol. 40%. The U.S. Department of Justice, in a report that was updated in 2010, said alcohol abuse was a factor in 40% of violent crimes. And then where you referenced this city of Collegedale, Tennessee, it's a PhD study, by the way, when they compared dry and wet counties, they found that there was 122% more murder in wet counties, 96% more rape, 326% more robberies in wet counties, 127% more of aggravated assault, 61% more burglaries, 29% more thefts, on down the line. I mean, these are things, listen, I hope our mayor would actually look at this because we're looking to him for leadership. It's not too late for him to withdraw his support for this. I mean, he's an educated person, and certainly if he could look at these things and see there are other reports that are out there that show that the problems with crime, anyway.
Pastor John Miller, Community Builders, thank you, sir. So I want to get a hold of you and discuss this further with you. How could they do that?
Well, gee, Jeff, bring me back down to the radio station, I guess.
And there you go. Listen, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. It is 7:56, 4 minutes away from 8 o'clock. This is the Voice of Freedom on Freedom 107. Up next, Fox News, followed by the Glenn Beck program.